It's the grandson of Right Thought. Welcome to the School of Marvelous Light, Little Flock. 7. That's what we've been talking about. This is going to be part 3. And this message is going to be mainly about the work that you are doing during your pilgrimage. Since we're talking about a pilgrimage or a journey from one state to another state, the person you were when Christ called you out of the world, the person you were, and the life that that person had is all washed away. Remember, it says, "Behold, I make all things new." You see? I make all things new. Well, that includes you. And so when you become new, you have to change from the old to the new and travel from the old to the new, just like the Israelites did. That's why it's written there. Scripture says that. It's written for our admonition and our learning, reproof, correction, to keep us on the straight and narrow path. See? Because it is indeed narrow. Because each person, let me explain that real quick before I continue. Why is it narrow? Because each person is going to have to travel that path alone. Even if there are other people around you, you're alone. Because they're not traveling like you are. Just like the Israelites were alone in the wilderness. There were no other nation other than the strangers who grabbed onto them. But you understand what I mean by no other nation came out there with them and traveled with them. If you wanted to travel with them, you were considered a grafted in branch. So it is today. Just like the Israelites are traveling now. Like I told you. I told you I have been. But he said he wouldn't do it by power and might like he did the last time. He said this time he would do it by his spirit. So if you understand spirit, then you understand that means invisibly, hidden. Because it's a secret place. Because the Father sees in secret. The Father is a spirit. Do y'all hear how the connections are going there? Christ was like, stop looking outside, because that's not how the kingdom comes. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Cometh not with outward observation. So it's always about an inner secret place. Even when they built the temple, it had a place in it called an inner sanctuary, called the Holy of Holies. See that there? It's always about being inside, because inside means protected. It means safe. You see? Secure. To be inside. Like Abba told me, don't leave the house. I've placed you in the house. Now don't leave it. You see? Represents a place of protection, is what I'm saying to you. That's what your house represents to you. You got locks on the door and everything to protect you from the outside world. Got codes on it that only you know to get access to things that only you know be there. Got safes in your house and shit. You see how that is, little flock? Why is it called safes? Because something in there. Told you it's about being inside something. Ain't that what I told you? When you want to keep something secure, you put it inside of a safe. It ain't secure if it's outside of the safe. So it's about being inside. Y'all see that little flower? So now, being called out to the sojourning, you go from place to place. That's what sojourning is. You don't know where you're going as well if you are Abraham's seed, because Abraham did this same traveling that I'm telling you all about. Abraham was Abram, and then he became Abraham. So he had to transition from an old life to a new one, a spirit. You see that? Spiritual. That's why the was added to his name. The same thing with this wife. Nothing was added other than the spirit, that is. You see that there, little flock? So as you travel, you go from place to place, and you bless that house that you go into or that place you go into and bring your peace there when you come. See? But if they don't receive you and they kick you out, then you dust your feet off and you keep your peace, and your peace returns back to you. See how the scripture says that? Well, that's what you're going to do when you get sent out traveling. You were chosen to do something. People like that word, the chosen ones. You even got a PSYOP program designed against the chosen ones by calling themselves chosen ones. Okay, they're going to start calling themselves chosen ones. So we'll come out first and call ourselves chosen ones, and then we'll give the information that they need. Okay, well, are you saying what Yahusha said? Does what you say boil down to what Yahusha said? Because if you say something different than what he said, then you ain't chosen. That's what I keep telling y'all to do. Stop listening to people that call themselves chosen one. Test the spirit to see. And how you test them. Who chose you? Let's start there. So before I get off on another subject, let's bring it back. You're traveling around and you're meeting these different people that Abba's sending you to. And as you start to get sent, you start to get more comfortable in it, realizing that that's what Abba's doing. Because when you go different places, you're going to see people who are desperate need of salvation. You see that little flock? Every place that I was sent to, from the very first house, which was that woman that I told you about and her children, they were in desperate need of help. What do I mean? Well, this is an overtaxed single mother. She works all day as a substitute teacher. When she's not working, she's a musician. She's a vocalist in a group that's pretty well-known group in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, where she's from. Do pretty big things, do shows and whatnot. And she was a vocalist for this group. So when she wasn't working, she would do that. So when she got off work and came home, she would change her clothes, say hey with her kids and dip off and go to rehearsal. This is a daily thing just about. There's a few days off in between and things like that, but for the most part, she's gone. So those kids are all at home. Those 3 kids of hers are all at home. And the responsibilities of taking care of those kids are falling on one son who's the oldest. And I've told this story on previous videos. But it's falling on him. So the house is in very much disarray. It's very filthy. The bathroom is disgusting. Gnats everywhere. It's the bathtub is leaning. It needs all kind of work in this tiny little duplex they live in. The kitchen is just dirty as heck. The refrigerator is just dirt caked all around the refrigerator on the floor where you could tell it's never been moved, never been mopped, never been swept, never been cleaned. It's just filthy, guys. When the kids get up and go to school in the morning, the mother is very agitated. She's very curt when she speaks, very hard when she was talking to them. Get up, wake up. You know you gotta go to school. Get your ass up. Damn, get up. Screaming and crying and kids waking up, getting snatched, getting shirts thrown up. Put this on, get your clothes on, brush your teeth, get ready. This is on a daily basis. So when you come there, you see it, and then you understand why Abba has sent you there. That was the first place I went to when I left, the first stop. And like I said, I was kicked out of there. You see that? Because I told her that it was about love. That's what I talk about. That's what I'm about, love. For some reason, that greatly offended her. Just like Yahusha said, the world, don't marvel, the world hate me before it hate you. So it's my commandment to love, isn't it? Yes, it is. See how you say you're keeping my commandment and that woman rejected you immediately off of that? Shouldn't that make you marvel? I was like, yeah, but don't, okay. But while we were there, the witness and I deep cleaned this woman's house without asking her. We went and bought the cleaning supplies and everything and just came back and just did it because it needed to be done. And we figured it would be a big help to this woman, and we're staying there, so it would definitely be a big help to just have people just living in your house versus being able to help you while they're there. So when the kids would come home from school, we would tutor them, make sure their homework was done, make sure that they ate good meals instead of just frozen things, which is all they were eating. She had a deep freezer in the kitchen just full of frozen goods. Frozen pizza, frozen lasagna, frozen this, frozen that, frozen to this, and a frozen to that. Shit, niggas look like Elsa up in here. Shit. So y'all see that? Just frozen this, frozen that. So we started buying meals, cooking meals with the kids. They're happy and shit. You see? I start mentoring the oldest son, teaching him not to be angry, not to take his responsibility as a chore and a hardship, but to do it out of love for his siblings. Let that be the motivation. Every time they nag you, just remember that you love them. They're your siblings and you love them. Start to mentor him, taught him how to do the thing that was very important. I'm telling you, that was crazy. I'm sure it's a stop sign right there. Yeah, lady just tried to run into me. The lady behind her was like, yeah, I saw that. That was crazy. I don't know. Y'all see what I mean? How people just be trying to hit your boy. And she acts shocked again. She's looking right at me as she's coming across the street as I'm walking. The lady behind her was like, he has the right of way. See how these people be out here in their own little looped out world, like I told you. So anyway, that was the first stop. Cleaning the house, helping this woman, chilling with her, teaching her how to take a load off, washing their laundry, cleaned up their whole laundry room, took the washer and dryer out and cleaned all of the old clutter that was up in there and dust and nastiness. And y'all get the point. To be a servant. So she kicked us out. All right, well, on to the next. So we get to the next location, which I told you was a very kind flight attendant. Now, her help that she needed was comfort. It wasn't a material thing. She had a brand new house I told you she had bought that she wasn't living in. She was staying with her mother to comfort her mother because her father had just passed away, who from their testimony was a very loving, kind, upright man. And from the looks of the pictures, you could see the beautiful man, Hebrew man, older, what you would call black man, gray beard, loving man, hugging his family with such great pride and joy, you could tell. And they all spoke well of him, and it was a hurt to them that he had passed away. But though she was comforting her mother, her herself did not have a comforter. She didn't have a husband, she didn't have a man, or she was kind of out there by herself. So that's what we offered. Friendship, comfort, a shoulder to lean on. You see there? While she offered us her house that she wasn't living in at the time. So we did that. And then the other thing that she asked to do were things that just needed to be done. For instance, small things. One day I was over there and just looking around at something I can do. It's a brand new house. It was really nothing. But I looked in the backyard and there was a rose bush. And it was overgrown with a bunch of old dead roses. And the new ones were coming out. But the old dead ones were on there. So I just pruned it. Went out there and just cut the old dead ones off so the good ones could flourish and maybe her garden would look better. Small things like that, little flock. Being a servant. In that servanthood, being a comfort and a shoulder to lean on. Somebody's going through something. You see? After leaving there, we went and stayed with this other woman, an older woman, who was in a straight as far as her health is concerned. She was in a tough spot. I believe she had had a stroke maybe or something. She wasn't able to walk well at all or move good at all. And she was a very mean lady. I'm just being honest. She just was mean. And I think because of her case, it made her meaner. And she would sit all day and drink Dark Eyes liquor. All day and smoke Newports. It's all day. Every day. That's all she did. Sit on the couch, drink Dark Eyes and vodka and smoke Newports. And cuss people out and get cranky. She had a son that stayed with her who wasn't hardly ever there, but he stayed with her, and his daughter mainly stayed there. So her granddaughter would stay there with her. And she had a daughter that stayed across town, and they would come over every now and again. But they knew she was a tool, you see? So when we get over there, the first thing this lady asked me to do was to paint her wall. And she had this very intricate design that she wanted painted there. Y'all see? And I know that she was actually testing me because what I had told her was I'm very handy. I said, whatever you need done, I can do it for you. Since I'm staying here with you, I'm willing to do whatever you ask me to do. Got any projects? She said, well, I want this paint done here in my living room, but I don't want a regular paint job. I want it done like this, like that, like this, like this, and like this. With a little angle coming like that and like that. I'm like, okay, no problem. She's like, you sure you can do it? And she came up with a nickname for me called Ziggy. I don't know why. That's just what she called me, Ziggy. She would say, "Hey, Ziggy, you think you can do that?" I said, "Yes, of course I can." I wouldn't say I could if I couldn't. Just like, all right, let's see what you got. So I'm painting and painting and painting. I get done. This lady comes to look at it, inspect the job. She's like, "Well, Ziggy, damn. I didn't think you could do this like this, but damn, you did a hell of a job." Of course. My master told me to do things that way. I didn't say that to her, but that's, of course, that's my motivation for what I'm doing. If I don't do it with love, then I ain't did anything. So everything I do with love. Everything. Even when it's misunderstood by the world who cannot comprehend the light. I don't expect everybody to understand that the things that I do are motivated by love. I don't expect people who don't know love to understand it. I don't. You see? So she's all shocked and amazed and everything. And one day, a few days later, she gets drunk off the dark eyes and she starts beating this puppy she had. She starts just beating it with the leash, just being mean to him. "Sit right here, sit." Wasn't letting him move, wasn't letting him do anything. You know how puppies are, they get into shit. She wouldn't let that dude do nothing. She just has him by her foot, by that couch, just popping him with this leash every time he moves. So we're in the next room and we're hearing this and we're getting kind of irritated. Needless to say, this woman also had a roach infestation. There were roaches everywhere up in her crib. And she was like, "I want to open a nursery to take care of kids. That's what I want to do with my house. I want to open a nursery." We're like, well, the spare room that she was going to use for her nursery, she had little kid stuff set up in there, little beds and little stuff like it. Like she was going to make it a nursery. But the room was so nasty and stinking and dirty, you see, that no, ain't nobody bringing their kid up in here. Me and the witness went in there and Clorox bleached that thing down where she couldn't believe it. She went in there like, "What the? This is the same room?" We're like, "Yeah, it's your house." She's like, "Wow, I never would have thought it could look like this. I'm ready now. I'm ready for my business." She was all hype and everything. But one day, she's beating the puppy. And we're in the next room. And I'm getting my compassion, see? I'm getting a little perturbed that this woman's treating this dog like this. And she treated everybody like this. But this particular night, just the dog. So this woman's niece comes in there and says, "Hey, auntie, why don't you chill out a little bit on the dog? You know how people get when you try to talk some sense into them when they're drunk and shit." So she starts going off on her niece, calling her all kinds of names, bitches and disgusting, and "I hate you, and you ain't shit, you ain't never been shit. When you was living with me, you would just use me and shit, and you ain't nothing," and just talking disgusting to her niece. And it went on until I could no longer take it. So I came into the living room and I said, "Hey," won't say her name, "Hey, so-and-so, do you really think it's right for you to talk to your niece that way? Really? Who the hell you think you is? Blah, 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 blah." And then the Ruach came upon me and I laced her with hot fire. And what I mean by that was I strictly convicted her about what she had been doing. And I spoke just like how I speak on my videos. She didn't expect that because I was a very mild, calm, quiet man. The same thing I tell you guys. When I'm not making videos and I'm just living, I'm quiet. I'm just sitting quietly most of the time, minding my own business. You see? And that's the way I was over there. Because that's the way I am everywhere that I go. I don't change. So when I was there, she expected this cool, calm guy who doesn't say anything and doesn't get involved in anything. So when I laced her with that fire, she was looking at me with this shocked look on her face like, "Y'all gotta go." That's what she said. It's just like that. "Y'all gotta go." And then, mind you, it's in the middle of the night. So it's me, the witness, the other woman I told you guys about, and her two children. Her two children. Okay? Now, mind you, the other woman I'm telling you about is this woman's niece that was being cussed out. You see, this is her aunt. So that means those two children are her kin that she should care about, right? Well, you guys gotta go. Kicked us out in the middle of the night with the kids in tow, which were her own family members. Do you guys see that? And she did this because I sharply rebuked her for her hatred, for her wrong, which she admitted it was. When I rebuked her, she admitted it was, but she still said, "Y'all gotta go. Ain't gonna be talking to me like that in my house." That's what she said. Put us out in the middle of the night. And that night, we slept in the car, in the driveway of an abandoned house. Before that, we drove around all night looking for somewhere to sleep. And at one point, I saw a new house being built, but the construction crew was gone for the day. But you could see they were building the house. And it was pretty much all the way done. Just odds and ends need to be done, the siding and things like that. But it was nobody there. It was in the middle of the night. I said, well, maybe I can see if I can get in this house. Well, I got the window open and got into the house. I said, we can sleep in here tonight. But it was so hot in there, it was not possible. It was a hot night anyway. It was very hot that night. But especially in that house, it was hot. So we ended up sleeping in the car in an abandoned house driveway that night. You see? So then when we left there, we went to, now we're on the street, guys. Now watch this. Watch this here. So we wake up the next morning. We don't have anything. Meanwhile, that night, I forgot to tell you guys this. When we got kicked out that night, the kids got hungry because we're just driving around all night looking for somewhere to post up. And we're just driving around. The car I had fixed. We're just driving and driving and driving. And happened to come across this McDonald's. And we pulled into the drive-thru. And we say to the woman at the drive-thru, she says, "Hey, may I take your order?" It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. We're like, yeah, we're starving. Just being honest. We're stranded out here. We don't have any money. We don't have anything to eat. The lady says, "Just pull up to the window, please." We pulled up to the window. She gave us like 4 or 5 burgers, 4 or 5 McChickens, just some stuff. She just gave it to us. Here you go. So we took that, gave it to the kids. We ate the rest. Found a little abandoned house, parked there, and went to sleep that night. Got up the next morning, driving around, running out of gas. Don't have any money to get any gas. We're just driving. So we saw another different McDonald's, pulled into the parking lot to try to use the Wi-Fi. The car sitting there. We're just sitting there just thinking, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Where are we going to stay? What's going to happen? Well, this is very important. This is why I want to slow down right here. This, what I'm about to tell you, is very important because when you start to do it, your carnal mind will tell you that it's not working. But listen to what I'm about to tell you guys. So as we're sitting there just stranded, have no money, can't do anything, I said, well, what is it that you guys want? Talking to the witness and this lady. I said, well, what is it that you want? And they said, honestly, just a room for the night, to get into a room to rest. We've been out here. We need to take showers. The kids is cranky and tired and everything. We just need a room to regroup. I said, well, let's do the thing I taught you both to do. Let's do it right now. And we literally sat there in the car and meditated on that thing. Now check this out, guys. We leave the McDonald's, we're driving. We see a Walmart or Kroger, something like that. We pull in the parking lot and we're thinking again. Now we've already did let's do the thing that we do, the manifesting it, the visualizing it. We're in the room, we're laughing, we're just taking showers. See, that's all we were doing. We're sitting there in that parking lot. And as we're sitting there, a car pulls up next to us and a couple get out. The woman's name Pam, the man's name is Tony. They're a couple, what you would call so-called black, Hebrew couple. They get out and they see us sitting in the car. We got the kids, the doors are all open. They're like, what are you guys doing here? We're like, just trying to hustle up on some money to get a room. The lady says, I don't have much, but I think I can give you something. She gives us the money that she has, and we have enough money to get a room that night, which we did. We went right to the room, bought it, and got in there. And when we got in there, the kids were just jumping from bed to bed, jumping off the beds and flipping. And that brought so much joy to my heart to see those children rejoice like that. Really made me happy. And then the witness and the woman are looking at me saying, it worked. It worked. Instead of looking around searching in the 3D for our salvation, we went to the secret place and made our request known, together agreeing on it. And if you agree, then it shall be. And it was. You see that little flock? So we're in the room all happy and everything. Then we say, okay, what's next? What's next? What are we going to do next? Well, we ended up leaving there. And the woman that we were with gets a call. and says, from a recruiter, and says, hey, there's a job available for you. It's going to be opening up in 2 weeks or whatever it was at the time. I can't remember exactly what day, but it's going to be opening up. We need you to come to work on this day. Blah, 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 blah. It's all set up for you. All we need you to do is show up. Okay. So she showed up to work. She was getting paid weekly, and she was getting paid like $2,000 a week. So our circumstances changed really quickly. You see that little flock? And so we started looking for an apartment, looking for somewhere more permanent instead of being on the street. And in the midst of doing that, while we were staying in the hotel, I told you guys she took the car and left and departed. Okay? And I went under the bridge. Now, while living under the bridge, there was one day in particular. I met this girl. I'm not going to say her name neither. But I met her on the street. Well, I met her at a McDonald's where we used to sit and use the Wi-Fi, me and the witness. This girl comes in. She's clearly a drug addict. Young girl. I think she was 23 at the time, she said. This young Caucasian girl. She comes in there. And she comes right up to me and the witness. And she says, "What's up, King?" She's talking to me. And then she looks at the witness and says, "What's up, Queen?" And we're like, that's not our names or anything. She's like, no. You look like it. Y'all look royal. Y'all are royal. She's just talking to us like this. We're like, okay. She's like, I'm going to hang out with you guys today. We're like, okay, whatever. So she sits down at the table. She's kicking it with us. And we see that she's cool as hell. We're like, yeah, this chick is cool. Of course, clearly strung out. So while we're talking to her, her boyfriend comes in there. And her boyfriend comes in. He's a little bit uncomfortable about her talking to us because he was a kind of a control freak, come to find out. So he comes in there, he's like, hey, we got to go get our stuff. So she's like, hey, we got to go get our stuff. So you guys want to come along and walk with us? I'm like, sure, fine, whatever. So we walk, me and the witness, we get up with the girl, walk with her. She goes and meets her drug dealer up the street. And she gets her drugs from him. When she gets her drugs from him, they put their backpack and everything right down there on the sidewalk, right there where they got the drugs. And she puts it and gives it to the guy, her boyfriend. He takes it and does whatever, puts it in a syringe, and injects it into her neck. She's squeezing, trying to get her veins to pop out. And he puts the drugs into her neck. Bam! Then she starts doing cartwheels. Starts doing cartwheels all over the field right there. Then he takes his and puts his in his ankle. Bam! Shoots his shit in his ankle. So then they're high for a second. This lasted for about 10 minutes or so. They come back down a little bit. They're still high, but they come back down a little bit. So she's like, come on, guys. I said, go get something to eat. So Wendy's across the way. So we walk over to the Wendy's or whatever. And her boyfriend goes into the bathroom. And she's sitting there talking to us. And in the midst of talking to us, she just gets raged out. She's like, that motherfucker, I want to beat his ass. I'm like, what? She's like, I know he's using all those fucking drugs for himself. I know he's in there getting high as hell. He always does this. He takes it all for himself. Meanwhile, she was prostituting as well. She had told us this while we were all walking about how she was prostituting. She had to do more prostituting that day. One of her clients had called her and offered her $300 to shit on his chest. She got to stand over him, squat, and shit on him. He was going to give her $300 to do it. She was telling us about it on the way. Then she went and got the money and showed us, like, I get that money, bitch. I get that money. Had the $300 in her hand. Shit. So she's raged out because he's taking all the drugs from her. He's just using her, So he's not doing anything. She's going out there and she's prostituting herself to get the money so he can get the drugs, but he's using it all and shit. He get her high once and then he'll go and just use it all and binge off the shit. You see? So he's in the bathroom getting high as hell. She's telling us this. And she starts crying and everything. And so we're listening. I said her name. I said, hey, let's step outside real quick. So she steps outside and she's looking at me. And it's hot. It's Memphis, summertime. I'm shirtless. I'm in really good shape at this time. 6-pack and shit, chest all bulging and everything. So I'm looking really good. Plus, I've been living on the street. And when you're living on the street, you don't eat a whole lot, And you exercise a lot because you're always moving and walking and on your feet. So you stay in pretty good shape if you're healthy, you see, in which I was. And so she's just standing looking at me. I said, what are you looking at me like that for? She said, you look like a black shiny vampire. The witness thought that was hilarious. A black shiny vampire. While I'm looking at her, she's saying this to me. I said, well, I got something I want to say to you. I said, you got that notebook right there. What do you use it for? She had it kind of stuffed down in her pants, down the side of her pants. I said, what do you use that for? She says, I write. I said, really? She said, yeah. She opened it up and showed me some things that she would write her thoughts down, things that she was thinking about or feeling. Very short little things, but she had her notebook filled with these things. I said, well, I want you to write a new thing on your notebook. Open it up and watch this little flop. Watch this. She opens her notebook and we sit on the curb. And I said, I want you to write, I am valuable. And she wrote it. And then she looked at me and I said, now write, I am valuable again. And she wrote it again. And then I said, write it again. And then she wrote it again, the third time. And then when she wrote it the third time, I said, now read it. And she said, I am valuable. I am valuable. I am valuable. And she started crying on the third one. And I said, why are you crying? And she said, because that feels so strange to say those words. Never said it before. I said, that's why your situation is the way that it is. But you don't love it. You don't want it. And you're better than it. So take up your value and don't look back. And that woman left that man, got off the street, got married, has a child. And she's beautiful and healthy. So another day, oh, this story connects to this one. So let me just continue the story. So after this happens, she puts her notebook, puts it back in the side of her pants, and we go back in there. At this time, he's then left the restaurant. The witness is like, he's gone. He stepped out the side while y'all were sitting there talking. So now we got to look for the guy. Well, we find him at this motel parking lot. He claimed he was there trying to get a room for the night off of the money that she had got. That's what he claimed he was doing. So when we got there, we run into him. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to get this room, but I'm trying to hustle up on some money with these other people to try to get 2 rooms so all of us can get in together and blah, 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 blah. It was like him, his girl, and maybe another couple and us. They were like, you can stay with us tonight. So we just hanging around like, all right, cool. Sure, we can get off the street. We were living under the bridge. I told you. We had our belongings under the bridge. Well, before we had did this, trying to get this room, another day, while we were under the bridge, we saw them walking, this girl and her boyfriend. We saw them walking up there at the top. And they saw us, and they were like, hey, what are you guys doing down there? We're like, we just started chilling. And they came down there and hung out with us. And that's how we met the first time, you see. Didn't really talk a whole lot. They were just looking like, wow, you guys under here? Oh, it's pretty cool, blah, blah, blah. We had our belongings there. Well, guys, check this out. Now we didn't got all the way up, fast forwarded to the motel. Well, they're trying to get the room. They're just stalling and waiting. We're just waiting to see what's happening. They're talking and doing other shit. And me and the witness standing there like, this is kind of some bull crap. Are they going to get the room or not, man? We can just go back under the bridge again if not. So while we're sitting there waiting, an ash from off of a cigarette comes down and lands on my shoulder. Somebody from up on the balcony of the motel flicked their cigarette and it landed on my shoulder. Well, when it landed on my shoulder, I came out from underneath the overhang. I came out and was like, hey, what the heck? And it was a beautiful girl up there, Caucasian girl, looking down off of the balcony. Brunette, dark hair, very beautiful face, very beautiful features. She's looking down. She has this big baggy t-shirt on and some what we call hoop shorts, like some basketball shorts, and a big baggy shirt and some flip-flops with no socks, no nothing, just some flip-flops, some baggy shorts, and a big baggy shirt. And I'm looking at her, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know anybody was down there. I'm like, oh, it's cool. She was like, I would have never did that if I knew you guys were down there. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I feel so stupid. But like, no, it's cool. It's cool. Don't worry about it. No big deal. She's like, well, what are you guys doing down there? And we explained to her, oh, we're just waiting to try to hustle up on a room or something. She was like, I got a room up here. You guys want to come hang out for a while? We're like, sure. Me and the witness look at each other. We're like, sure. Well, we're walking up there. And as we're walking toward the girl, the witness is tapping me like, this girl's beautiful. Wow. I'm like, I know. Isn't she? She's gorgeous. She's just very beautiful. Very down to earth and cool girl, by the way. She's like, I can say her name. Her name, Claudia. So Claudia is like, come on up here and chill. So we get up there. We're like, okay. We walk in the room. It's nobody in the room but a man. His name's John. He's laying on the bed. This is her boyfriend. who has passed away now. Rest in peace, John. John's laying in the bed asleep. Well, actually, he's high. So he's knocked out from being high. So she's like, well, I don't do the drugs that he does. So I just smoke weed and stuff. She was like, so he's knocked out and he's probably going to be passed out for a while till he finally comes to. She was like, but you guys can chill, hang out, it's cool. She's like, what's that in your bag? And I had my Bible kind of sticking out the top of my backpack. My backpack was open. And my Bible was sticking out. It says Bible. She was like, oh, look what I was doing. And she shows me this paper with these scriptures that she had been writing. And she's like, I'm going through a lot right now, and I just need a good word. And I just started preaching. I said, well, what do you want to know? And she asked me, and I started telling her. And she's just sitting there, wow, I didn't know. Amazing. I knew that this was meant for me. I knew the truth was for me. I knew I just couldn't find it all along, and blah, 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 blah. You know, she's popped her top, you see. So she's sitting there listening to this. And in the midst of it, John wakes up. And when he wakes up, he turns and looks. Now, remember, these are two Caucasian people. So he turns and looks and sees two so-called black people sitting there in the room. A guy with locks and everything, beard and everything, sitting there in the chair talking to his girl. So he looking right at me like, with this hard look on his face. And she immediately started explaining like, oh, no. These were just the people that were down there. We're just up here talking about the Bible and blah, 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 blah. He's like, oh, okay, all right. Well, what's up, man? So me and him started talking, hit it off cool, had a great conversation. He was into MMA and fighting, but he had contracted cancer, I believe. And he was already starting to get weak. But he was telling me about his childhood growing up with his brothers and how they would just beat up on each other and fight and how they made him tough. And it was just a good conversation. And so he was like, you guys are talking about the Bible, huh? I'm like, yeah. He was like, I used to didn't believe in God at all. But then he said something profound to me. He said, but then I realized I got to be a fool to say I don't believe in something. Because don't believe there's a God. And I said, well, what makes you say that? He said, because if I say that I don't believe in him, I'm proving that he is. And I didn't get it at first. I'm like, what the heck? What do you mean? Then I sat and pondered. I said, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. He was like, yeah, I didn't believe in God. I even hated God. He's like, and then I realized, how can I hate somebody who doesn't exist? So my hating him is proving that he exists. It's like, wow. And then I submitted to the fact that he existed. So I know it's real. It's like, wow, okay, cool. So then after we have this little conversation, he gets on the phone. He gets off the phone and says, hey guys, me and Claudia got to run. We're about to get picked up. Claudia had just got out of jail for shoplifting. That's why she had the clothes that she had on. She literally had just got out of jail. So they were waiting to get picked up by his brother. So they were just posted up at the room until he came to come get them from another city. So he came and got there. So John's like, hey, you guys can have the room for the night if you want. Do y'all see that little flock of ladies right there? He's like, y'all can have the room for the night. He's like, matter of fact, my brother booked it for 2 nights. So it's in his brother's name. It's already booked. He's like, you guys just stay. So we stayed there for 2 nights. That was one of the best showers and snuggling into a pillow and a sheet that I had in a long time because I've been sleeping on that hard-ass ground. You see? And then they leave the room to us. We're like, wow. For the next 2 days, we stayed in that room. We see Lindsay and this girl named Lindsay who was like stayed around that little area. And she's like, I saw you guys come here yesterday. You were with that group trying to get a room. I guess you guys got a room, huh? We're like, yeah. We got a room. So then after that, when we leave that room 2 days later, we go back under the bridge because remember, that's where all our stuff has been. But we had left it because we were so relieved to get the room. But when we go back, all our stuff is ransacked. All our things are gone. For the most part, they're gone. So I'm sitting there looking and I'm like, wow. Okay. Somebody didn't got us. Well, at this point, I'm used to taking losses. I said, okay, chuck it up as another loss. No big deal. It's gone. But when I'm looking and rummaging through the trash and stuff that they had strewn around, I see that girl's notebook. The girl that was saying, King, getting shot in the neck. I see the notebook. I am valuable, she wrote in there. It's her notebook. Among our trashy, the stuff that was left. The notebook is amongst that. So now I know who has been down here rummaging through our stuff, her and her boyfriend. So I took the notebook and put it in my backpack and we walked on off. Well, a couple days later, I'm walking. I hear somebody talking behind me. It's that girl. I turn around. I say, hey, you forgot something. I pulled her notebook out, and she looked at me like, as if to say, how did you get that? I said, it's yours. And she took it with this shocked look and put it in her pocket, and I walked off. And like I say, this is the same woman that has married now with the child and healthy and gained weight and teeth fixed and everything, man. You see that little fly? So, as you can see, this is another message of sharing experiences because they're consecutive as they see. They go from one test to another, don't they? Have the tests stopped so far since I've been talking to you guys about the last 7 years? Okay, then. So this is no different. You see? It's a part of the process as you travel through. You go through these things and meet these different people. Before I end this message, I'll end it with this. So, we go back under the bridge. Stuff is messed up, but we had to end up living back under there. Had no more money for a room or anything. So go back under the bridge, living under there. Well, one day, I'm come out from under the bridge, go up top, and I see this woman. She's pregnant. She's leaving the motel, going across the street. She's talking all crazy to herself, like, motherfucker, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna fucking kill him. And so me and the witness stop and we're like, what's going on? She's like, my baby daddy, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him right now. We're like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm gonna stab him. I'm gonna fucking kill him. Blah, blah, blah. She's just talking like she's demonically possessed, which she was. Come to find out, she was. So now, she's talking all crazy. She's talking about she's gonna kill herself. So she starts punching herself in the stomach like she's gonna kill herself. And talking about she's gonna kill the baby that's in her and everything. She wants to get high. She needs some heroin. She needs to get high. We're like, okay, let's sit down and talk for a second here, lady. So we sit down there in the parking lot and we're talking to her. And we're like, tell us about the baby daddy and why you're so angry. So she's telling us and everything and blah, 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 blah. And then she just starts freaking out with this demonic stuff. Yeah, I told you I'm gonna fucking stab him. I'm gonna take the knife, I'm gonna put it right in his eye and poke it through and pull his freaking eyeball out. And I'm gonna eat it in front of him and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. I got so tired of hearing that, I just rebuked the demon. Come up out of there, man. You gotta go. I cannot talk to this lady if you're gonna be up here interfering. So you gotta go. And he departed. And the woman said, thank you. I just need to go lay down. I just need to go to sleep. She got up and went back to her hotel room and went to sleep. So we went on with our day. About 5 or 6 hours later, we see that same woman walking across the street, about to go to McDonald's and get her something to eat. We're like, hey. She's like, hey guys, how you doing? We're like, you doing good? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. I feel a whole lot better. So do you see what I mean, little flock? Do you see what I mean? That day, we spent all day walking all day, came across nothing, no blessings, and we're hungry and everything. But we decided to go on, finish the day and go on back down under that bridge and get some rest. But while we were down there, I can't remember what caused me to come back to the top. I can't remember. I'm trying to think right now. I can't remember. But in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, something led me back up to the top. I had to use the Wi-Fi to do something. So I had to get to the McDonald's, which was not far. So you go up the top, you walk down the street, the McDonald's right there, you connect. But I couldn't connect from under the bridge, so I had to go up there. That must have been why I went up there. But for whatever reason, the witness and I go up to the top, and you had to go through a little bit of woods to get to the sidewalk to the main street. And as we're going through this little bit of woods, I see a young Hebrew kid walking with a little afro. And I had seen this kid before. And I had talked to him a few times. And his name is Aaron. I believe he was 18 at that time. And he was staying in a little apartment. He used to sit on the stairs, and I would see him sometime when I was walking. We would say what up to each other. And one time he had a blunt he was smoking, and I was walking past him, and he said, hey, bro, you want to hit this? And I just thought that was just cool. I'm like, for real? I'm like, that was generous and kind of you. So we hit it off and talked a few times. We would just see each other in passing. Well, this particular night, I saw him walking up the street. As I was coming through those little woods, I saw him walking up the street. I said, hey, Aaron. And he turns and looks at me and he says, oh, hey, man, hey. The people down there were calling me Z. You see, Z, that's what they were calling me. They said, hey, Z. I said, what's going on? He's just all about to get teary-eyed and everything. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I just got put out of my apartment, man. I said, why? He was like, well, they had already been hating on me. He tells me this story about the tenants didn't want him there. He's young out there by himself and, smoking weed on the steps and just hating on the kid. So they put him out. He was harmless, very kind kid, man. They put him out of the apartment. He had nowhere to go, so he's just walking up the street. I said, well, where are you going? He said, I don't know. I said, well, I'm living on the street right now under this bridge right here. So I understand the case that you're in right now. He was like, you stay out here? I thought you lived somewhere. I said, no, I live right under this bridge. And he was like, well, I don't know where I'm going to go, man. He's so sad. You could just see it all over him. And I said, well, what's hurting you so bad right now? What's got you so hurt? Other than being put out, I understand. But what's got you so hurt? And he said, the lack of love in this world. There's no love. And he started crying. And I hugged him and put my arms around him. I said, let's sit down over here at this McDonald's. And they got the chairs outside where you can sit. So we sat outside in that McDonald's that night. And I pulled my Bible out of my backpack. And I said, let me show you why. He said, I don't understand why. I said, let me show you why. And I taught him that night. And at the end of our conversation, he was strengthened. He had a pep in his step. He was happy. He hugged me. And he was like, man, thanks, man. I said, man, don't even mention it. Don't even mention it, man. I do this out of love for you. I love you, brother. I consider you a little brother of mine. And I care for you deeply. I love you. Even if the world don't. I do. And I said, I'm willing to sit here with you until you got the strength enough to get back on and continue with your journey. And he said, I'm good. I can go now. Gave him a hug and he went on his way. And I watched him walk up the street. So do you see what I mean, little flock? Do you see? Not about you. Love is not about you. Love seeketh not its own. So then love ain't about you. It's about giving up oneself and thinking it not robbery to sleep under the bridge if you have to meet a soul that needs you there. You think it not robbery to sit there and laugh with someone who's injecting themselves with harsh drugs and hoping for them to fight out of it and get free from it? It's not robbery. And you'll learn that on your journey. You'll stop caring about yourself. You'll give yourself up for the truth's sake because that's what Yahushua asked for. Did he not? Don't be afraid to give your life up. Don't be afraid. It's the greatest thing that you can do. It's the greatest way to show you love your friend. It's to give your life for him. Y'all know this is true what I'm saying. But when you're called to do it, a lot of people just don't want to do it because it requires you to take on the form of a servant. But don't think it robbery, because it ain't. It is a great game to serve your brothers. When you love what you are, you love those who are like you. And I don't mean just in your color and hair texture. It's being, guys. When you're a being, you love being. And you love beings as you are. See? So their being is just as precious as yours is. But many forget the preciousness of their brother's being, overlooking to fill their own needs that day. And those things were the things Yahushua told us not to do. Don't worry about your own needs. Take no thought for your life. Don't worry about what you'll eat. Don't worry about what you'll drink or what you'll put on. For your Heavenly Father knows you have need of these things before you even ask Him. So while you're out there journeying during your pilgrimage, fall into the hands of Abba, like David said. Just rest and fall into His hands, knowing that you're provided for, that you are loved and you are taken care of. And if you do the work of loving your neighbors, loving your brothers and sisters out of their affliction, being patient with them and kind and loving and long-suffering with them, then you shall greatly benefit and have the things that you need, because that's how you get what you need, little flock. Fight the good fight of faith today. And it won't be arduous unto you. It will be easy and light to do the loving thing. And you will forget your affliction while you're working, because a labor of love makes everything else fade away. See that, little flock? So y'all be blessed today, little flock. Silouan, Mr. Rala, we will continue this message and get to where we are today in the 7 years. We'll walk it on up there so you guys will know exactly how it happened, exactly how you are hearing this man that you hear today. Silouan, Mr. Rala.